So the biggest trend is the big move to the cloud, and companies finally realizing that they can store and capture all their data. So the real outcome that we're seeing, not so much a trend, is that the amount of data being collected today is growing dramatically. It's just growing in leaps and bounds. So footprints of data are growing enormously, and the ultimate trend then is, I think companies are trying to find ways how do they use and analyze such large data footprints in the market today. It's the headache and the trend at the same time, if you will. So historically the silos are two parts. One is that the data itself is siloed, where everybody had different sets of data in different places, and the whole concept of a data lake was designed to address that by bringing it all together. We don't think the data lake has panned out exactly as people thought, and so the data still remains in silos, and it'll stay like that for a long time to come. It might never ever collapse. The second set of silos is actually in the consumption, the analytical layers. When people use the data, that's the other place that we see the silos, which mirrors the silos of the data. But that one is solvable, and the idea is not to have different implementations or different instances of the analytics on the different instances of your data, but rather to blend it together. And that's, for example, one of the things that we solve at Pyramid is solving the analytical silos as opposed to the data silos. One is a realistic reflection of the data silos, the other one is solving the analytical silo problem, if that makes sense. So the first thing is to acknowledge the fact that the data silos exist and not to pretend like they don't exist. So that's number one. But the second thing is to use software where you can reuse the data multiple times, which is where the governance issue kicks in. So I can have multiple data sets, but share them across the organization, not have to artificially separate them into different, let's call them projects, or different silos per sort of business problem instance. To glue together, and that's exactly what Pyramid does. It allows you to glue and share and reuse the data artifacts and the analytic artifacts, and effectively breaks down the silos and the walls of the silos so that you're not forced to artificially break them up into different boxes just because that's the way it's conceptually designed. The software allows you to reuse and the silos go away. The interesting thing as well is not just the silos of data or analytics anymore, it's actually of what we call the data factory problem, which is today, a real analytic solution, which we call decision intelligence, because it's much more than just analytics. Analytics is pie charts. The data factory of giving you a good decision includes the data preparation, the cleaning of it, the machine learning, the data science, the analytics, and then ultimately the consumption phase. That is also siloed today. It's done in different pieces of software. And we think of the data factory as a continuum, and it should be glued into one gigantic arc, hence the platform, decision intelligence platform, in our perspective. But that kind of problem shows up in many use cases. I mean, you brought up ESG. ESG is a very good example. Today, everybody wants it solved, but ESG is not an analytical problem. It's first a data problem, it's then an analytic problem, and then it's how do I fix my actual real world problems related to environmental issues. How am I going to glue that all together? Again, you need a platform to solve it. And so it's another way to think about how we're breaking down the artificial barriers that have been created over the years between buying 5 pieces of software to solve the whole pipeline of data. We don't need one piece of software today. That's another way to think about it.